The voices in your head can either be your biggest ally or your biggest enemy. And it's up to you to decide which one you're going to feed the most. What I mean by that is every single day we have a choice on how we talk to ourselves. Are we going to tell ourselves that we're going to go out and create our own reality, that we're going to win, we're going to achieve our dreams? Or are we going to tell ourselves we suck? We're not going to be able to achieve this. I can't do what that person does. That person's so much further ahead than me. Which one are you feeding the most? It's interesting because we each have those voices in our head, right? We have the choice. It's like Andy Frisella says, we all have that little inner bitch. And then we all have the empowering voice that says, I can do this. I can go accomplish this either achievement, this goal, this dream that I've had that I've never done before. I have a classic example of this myself. 2021 Closers Olympics. The way I've always talked about that is I've never been more confident than anything I've ever done in my life. I knew I was going to win. But why was I so confident? Well, I told myself I was going to win because I had put in the practice. I had put in the reps. I had proven to myself that I could do it. And so my inner self was saying, I'm going to do this. Why? Because every single day since I lost in 2020, I told myself I'm going to work to be better at this craft. I'm going to make sure that I become the king closer. I know I deserve it. I know it got taken away from me, not rightfully so. It just got yanked away from me. And I said, I'm going to make sure that no one can ever do that to me again. That was the self-talk that I gave myself every single day. There's an analogy that talks about self-talk. I want to read it to you guys real quick. An old Cherokee told his grandson, my son, there's a battle between two wolves inside us all. One is evil. It is anger, jealousy, greed, resentment, inferiority, lies, and ego. The other is good. It is joy, peace, love, hope, humility, kindness, empathy, and truth. And the boy thought about it and asked, Grandfather, which wolf wins? And the old man quietly replied, the one you feed. I don't think we realize on a daily basis what impact what we say to ourselves has on our results and our actions. I can guarantee you that there are times right now in your life where you don't take near enough action because you convince yourself with your self-talk that you can't do it. So you literally just convince yourself, I'm just not even going to attempt to do it. Another classic example is the first 50-50-50. I didn't know what I could do. And my self-talk was a little bit in between the two, right? It wasn't the good. It wasn't the evil. It was very like, man, RJ, this is scary. We've never pulled data in front of a live audience. We've never sent out thousands of text message. I had never really even talked to sellers on a live feed before, except for during the Closers Olympics. And I'm like, and I'm signing up to do this 8 to 9 hours a day for 50 days straight. And when you look at that first day, when it was like that uncertainty, that voice that was like, I don't know what we're going to be able to accomplish. We kind of got those results. 900 text messages, a couple of offers were made, no signed contracts. But I started talking to myself different and was like, I have to accomplish this. This is a mission that I set out to accomplish, and I'm doing it. The world is my accountability partner. I have to bring this. And so when I started changing the way I was talking to myself, the next thing you know, contracts started rolling in. More text messages started sent out. More actions were taken on a daily basis, which led to more results. And when you think about it, it was all going back to the voices in my head. The way that I was talking to myself, like, oh, maybe you can accomplish this. This topic comes about from an implementation call we had inside of Titanium University the other day. And I was doing Q&A through all of the members inside of the community. And one of the members said, you and Cassie are level 100 as far as talking to sellers and a closer. And then he mentioned his partner. He's like, my partner is a level 80. Now, I'm not a 50, but I'm not an 80 and I'm not a 100. And so then he asked me a question about how he should have handled the situation, how he should have spoken to the seller differently. And I stopped him right there and I said, no. First of all, before we ever get anything tactical, anything that you should and shouldn't have done, you need to stop talking to yourself that way. If you're going into every conversation and you're saying, I'm not that good of a closer, I don't have that experience, I can't handle, what are we talking about? The key here is go into that conversation being yourself and being confident. And how can you be confident in the actions that you're taking to get a result if you don't even believe in yourself? Now, I'm not saying be delusional about it, right? That it's not like you're a gardener standing in your garden that's full of weeds and saying, there's no weeds, there's no weeds. Okay. I'm not saying to be delusional like that. No, I'm saying if you're taking an action, like to pick up the phone and to talk to a seller, then your goal should ultimately be to close that deal and solve their problem by being yourself. And that's why I believe in this so strongly, where it's like, I don't want you to pretend. I don't want you to play mental manipulation games or anything like that when we're running our businesses. Be you, because you can be 1000% confident in that. That self-talk that you have with yourself will be easy because it's as simple as go out and be you. And when you're confident about that and you're confident about being yourself, the actions will follow. And when you take enough imperfect action, results will follow. And then it's a reciprocal relationship over and over and over again. And what happens when you start getting those results? That self-talk gets even better. This is what I want you guys focusing on when it comes to this. Changing that behavior. More actions gets more results gets better self-talk, and then better self-talk leads to even more action. That should be how this relationship is working. When you think about this, who is more likely to succeed? The person that wakes up in the morning and says, what a beautiful day, I can't wait to go win. Or the person that wakes up and goes, oh, another day of me trying to, get a deal. I hope I get something under contract today. Dude, this is like in sports, man. In sports, it very rarely, specifically in professional sports, where the talent is very even, it rarely comes down to that skill or the X's and O's. It comes down to who believes in the plan, who believes in their teammates, who believes in themselves the most, that is going to win. And that should be the goal. We continue to talk about it here. Win the day. In order to win the day, you have to believe that you can win the day. You have to tell yourself that you can do that. Henry Ford says, whether believe you can or you can't, you're usually right. Think about that. You could probably think about, like right now, pause the video and think back to a time where you missed out on an opportunity or you won something because you either believed you could or you believed you couldn't. I'll be honest with you. In 2021, when I won the Closers Olympics, I don't necessarily know that it was that I was the most skilled closer during that time. But I can promise you, no one believed that they could win that competition more than me. I mean, I've reviewed my calls from the 2020 Closers Olympics, and I was lacking in a lot of areas back in 2020. I have grown as a closer over the past 4 years, but you know what has not changed? The self-talk and belief in myself. It is the exact same as it was in 2020 as it is now in 2024. You know why? because I believed I could do it back then. And so I took massive action over the past 4 years, and now I've gotten massive results. And so the only thing that's gotten better is baby, I believe in myself even more. There is absolutely no way I'm waking up in the morning and not thinking that I'm going to be able to win. I'm not ever thinking that I'm not going to accomplish the goals that I set out for myself. I know for a fact that I can do that every single day. The other thing that I want to think about is when you go out and you think about someone that is accomplishing what you are trying to accomplish. If you've ever met those people, it's amazing to see how they talk about themselves, how they got to where they got. And a lot of times you'll hear them reference there was this action that was taken at some point in time. And then there was that initial result. And from there, it created a belief in themselves to leading to so much more action. And now they're in this like superstar status that, quite frankly, they're so humble they can't even believe that they're at. The majority of the people that I've seen that have achieved massive results, that's kind of like their story. It's almost like I can't really believe it was that simple. They're just a normal person that's like, dude, anybody can achieve this. Guys, I don't know how hard it is for you to believe, but it's like all I did was I believed in myself, and then I took action, and I figured it out along the way, and eventually we got results, and it just made us believe so much more that here I am today, and I'm supposed to lead you and inspire you to do something. I just had this opportunity to meet Tim Grover. He's one of my heroes. His book, Relentless, was the inspiration for the initial 50-50-50 challenge. And I got to meet him, and I want to share the video of me meeting him for the first time. I had just come off a stage speaking at Caesar's Palace at WealthCon, and I got to meet him, and I want you to listen to his response to what I tell him. I gotta let you know, you're an inspiration for me and so many of my people. I read your book Relentless in 2020, and it inspired me to do this crazy challenge, 50 deals in 50 states in 50 days, live on YouTube. Completely changed our business, changed our community. Man, I've done it twice now. Thank you. When I read the book and I came up with the idea, I told her, I said, hey, this is what we're gonna do. And she goes, why?
Check this out.
And I said,
you're crazy.
I said, because I'm a cleaner. That's what I'm supposed to do. And she goes, what are you talking about? You don't clean? And I'm like, it's the book. You don't worry about that. And she goes, we've never done deals in 26 different states. And I said, but we're going to. And we did.
If you didn't do it, somebody would.
There you go.
We've done it over and over.
Yes.
It was an incredible impact.
And some of our sales reps use this as one of the most.
Yes.
And Harold, what the big difference was?
So I want you to pay attention to several things Tim Grover says there, okay? First of all, if you didn't do it, someone else would. And it showed you how much more capable you were, how much more capable I was of accomplishing in my life. And he's right. Where did that start with? Started with that self-talk. You heard me say it. Cassie said, why would we do this? How are we going to? And I said, she said, we haven't closed deals in 26 different states. And my self-talk, I could still remember it. We're at her house and we're standing on the back porch. And I looked right at her and I said, but we're going to. I don't care that we haven't done deals in 26 different states. We're going to. That self-talk right there led to that action. And what did he say? It proved to you were capable of so much more. And because of that, then I said, the self-talk was right, baby. We can do it. We're going to do this over and over and over again. And it became the new way to do business here at Titanium. It literally saved our careers, our business. It all started with that sentence right there. We're going to. I promise you we're going to. And then I followed that up, not just by saying it, but I backed it up with those actions, and those actions led to the results. And nothing has ever been the same. And I want you to understand, when I said that to Tim Grover, he took zero credit for that whatsoever. Zero. I give him a lot of credit for giving the book, but he said no. You went out, you took the actions. You believed in yourself, and you proved to yourself how much more capable you were. So are you having that same conversation with yourself every single day? Are you saying we're going to today? Or are you letting that inner bitch come out and say, I hope I can, maybe, sometime soon, once I watch these modules, once I watch another YouTube video, once I get pumped up about something, then yeah, we'll start taking action? Or are you waking up and you're having that self-talk and then you're backing it up with actions every single day to then lead to results and get that cycle started? Because if you're not, you're in this endless game of convincing yourself that you suck. You've got to get out of that. The way that you talk to yourself is so critical every single day. I have to thank my community member for bringing this to the front of my mind, because quite frankly, I had forgotten about that self-talk moment. I had forgotten about how that felt during that moment. I've talked about the 50-50-50. I've talked about the 2021 Closer Olympics. I want to leave you guys, and I've talked about this a little bit before, but the self-talk I had during the 2023 Closers Olympics. I did a second 50-day challenge that led all the way up until the 2023 Closers Olympics, and I knew that there was going to be a ton of pressure. I was the first person that ever had won the Closers Olympics to come back and defend the championship, because the initial winner, he retired. And so I'm coming back to defend that championship. And I know if I win, it's all right. He's the king closer. He was supposed to win. If I lose, everyone's going to look at it and say, it was a fraud. I knew the closers formula couldn't work for everyone. And I knew that there would be a huge downfall. So I put a lot of pressure on myself. And during the self-talk, I talked to myself about that. I wanted that pressure on my shoulders. This is what we have worked for, RJ. This is the moment to prove that was not a one-off scenario. No, this is a repeatable process that no one can defeat. It's the best in the industry, and you've got to go out and prove it. Then there's going to be moments, RJ, when things are not going to go right. How are you going to handle that situation? So for the 50 days leading up to that, of course, it was all about getting deals and putting on a good show and showing up and beating the 86 contracts in 49 states. Hey, we ended up getting 125 contracts during those 50 days, okay? It was about that, but it was also about that training and getting mentally prepared on how am I going to talk to myself during the Closers Olympics when things aren't going right. When I can hear Jerry Norton and Brent Daniels and Steve Train talking about, no one's answering the phone. He's got to get someone. He's got to get a motivated seller. RJ, he's not a deal manufacturer. He's a deal finder. He's got to go find it. Those voices. What was the voice in my head going to say? So I made sure during those 50 days, tell myself. I'd put myself on a 30-minute clock. I'd put myself on an hour-long clock, and I'd say, okay, let's pretend we're in the Closers Olympics. How would we handle this? What can I say to myself to calm myself down, to keep the emotions low? Imagine someone, your colleague that is a judge, scrutinizing your every move. How are you going to handle that? Because we know that with what we do with the Closers formula, it's better than what anybody else does in this industry. And the way to prove that is by putting it out there and competing and beating the competition over and over and over again. This is the opportunity to do it in repeatable fashion, winning the 2021 Closers Olympics, winning the 2022 Wholesaling Live Challenge, winning the 2023 Closers Olympics Challenge, to be 3 in a row. No one can deny it at this point. Sure enough, final round. Clock is ticking. No one's answering the phone. And I made sure, one, keep breathing. That's something internally for me. I know that when I get frustrated, I get short of breath. I'll lose my breath. It impacts the way that I'm talking. I used to not even be able to speak on stage. I used to not even be able to speak on camera because I would lose my breath. So breathe. And then second, keep repeating. No one has put in more reps. No one has more results. No one has taken the actions that you're willing to take. All we need is one motivated seller, trust the reps, and the results will follow because we've done this over and over again. Just give me the one. And I got the one. And it was seamless. Every issue that came up during that moment, he didn't know how to use his phone. He didn't know if he had an Android or an iPhone. He couldn't sign it. All of that. We pushed that all aside. And it was so easy. Why? Because I had done it time and time again. So once I got in the moment, I was already mentally prepared because the self-talk had been there. This is what we asked for. Here it is. Let's take the actions, baby. Trust the reps that we put in and all the different times that we've done this. And we know the results follow, and the result followed. I look back at it and I say, yeah, it's great, you know, the reps with talking to the sellers and stuff like that. But quite frankly, being prepared to mentally handle the emotions and the actions, because I'm telling you right now, when you see the chat and you hear your colleagues and you see your team nervous, there's a lot of nerves that were flowing through my body. The only thing that kept me calm was the voice inside my head. What are the voices inside of your head telling you on a daily basis? You need to find a way to have that empowering voice be the one that guides you and leads you to taking more action every single day. Leave me a comment. Let me know how that empowering voice is going to impact you moving forward. Appreciate you guys. Hope you had a great holiday weekend. Let's go crush it this next week.